Stay with me till the very end, because only then will you understand the full story of a man America once loved to hate. Howard Cosell was not just another sports commentator. He was a storm that swept across television, leaving behind both admiration and outrage. Born into a Jewish immigrant family that fled persecution in Eastern Europe, Cosell grew up in Brooklyn, where words became his weapon. While other kids threw punches, he threw sharp lines that cut deeper than fists. By high school, he was already challenging coaches, fearless, arrogant, and impossible to ignore. After World War II, he became a successful lawyer in Manhattan, representing legends like Willie Mays. Yet even in the courtroom, his mind drifted. Friends would catch him narrating imaginary games, pacing the room like a broadcaster rehearsing for an audience that didn't yet exist. The hunger for something bigger gnawed at him until he left behind security and money for the chaos of television. By 1956, Howard Cosell burst onto the scene with a style that roared like fire. While other commentators sugar-coated athletes' mistakes, he tore into them with blunt questions. Live on air, he once asked a stunned player, "Is it true your teammates won't pass to you because you hold the ball too long?" The audience gasped. No one had ever seen such raw honesty in sports broadcasting. Some called him abrasive, others hailed him as the conscience of sports. But everyone watched, because when Cosell spoke, you couldn't look away. And then came the moment that shocked the nation. December 8th, 1980, millions watched Monday Night Football, unaware that within seconds, Cosell's voice would deliver news so devastating it would freeze America in silence. On December 8th, 1980, as the Miami Dolphins battled the New England Patriots, Howard Cosell faced a decision no broadcaster ever wants. In the final minutes, breaking news reached him. John Lennon, the iconic Beatle, had been shot outside his New York apartment. Cosell hesitated. Should he shatter the joy of the game with such a tragedy? His co-host urged, "You have to say it." And so, with a heavy voice, Cosell declared to millions, "This is just a football game. A tragedy unspeakable in its dimension." John Lennon shot twice in the back and dead on arrival. The nation froze. In that instant, sports became secondary to grief, and Cosell's voice became the channel through which America learned it had lost a legend. But only 3 years later, Cosell's own career would unravel in a storm. During a Dallas Cowboys and Washington Redskins game, black receiver Alvin Garrett broke free, sprinting across the field. Cosell shouted, "That little monkey got loose, didn't he?" 6 words, and his empire crumbled. ABC's phone lines exploded with complaints. Newspapers raged. Talk shows tore him apart. To many, it was blatant racism, unforgivable, inexcusable. Yet something strange happened. The strongest defenders of Cosell were the very people most thought he had insulted, black athletes. Jesse Jackson defended him. Muhammad Ali stood by him. And Alvin Garrett himself, the man at the center of the firestorm, said, "I like Howard Cosell. I don't feel insulted." Why would they protect him when the nation turned against him? The answer lay 2 decades earlier, when a young boxer named Cassius Clay shocked America by renaming himself Muhammad Ali. While the world sneered, Howard Cosell was the first to call him by his chosen name, live on national television. In 1964, the boxing world crowned a new heavyweight champion, Cassius Clay. But within days, Clay stunned the nation by rejecting what he called his slave name and announcing, "My name is Muhammad Ali." White America recoiled. To them, athletes were meant to be obedient role models, not rebels defying the system. Sponsors pulled back. Newspapers labeled him a traitor. Yet on national television, Howard Cosell stood tall. Without hesitation, he called him Muhammad Ali. For Cosell, it wasn't politics. It was the most basic human right, to be called by your true name. Their bond only deepened when Ali refused to fight in the Vietnam War. The government stripped his titles, revoked his license, and banned him from the ring. The press branded him a coward. Almost everyone turned their backs on him, except Howard Cosell. He gave Ali airtime, defended him as a victim of injustice, and called the government's punishment inhumane. At a time when silence would have been easier, Cosell risked his career to stand with Ali. The two sparred on-screen like fighters in the ring. Ali mocked Cosell's toupee. Cosell teased Ali's arrogance. Viewers thought it was playful banter, but beneath it lay something rare, trust. Ali later admitted, "Cosell gave me a voice when no one else would listen." This courage set Cosell apart from every other broadcaster. He wasn't just narrating sports, he was putting race, politics, and justice into America's living rooms. And when Monday Night Football arrived in 1970, he carried that same fire. Network executive Roone Arledge put him on the team, despite protests from the NFL. With Frank Gifford and Don Meredith by his side, Monday nights became more than football, they became a national event. Monday Night Football was unlike anything America had seen before. With Howard Cosell's fire, Don Meredith's humor, and Frank Gifford's balance, the trio turned a simple game into must-see television. Bars filled with shouting fans, half cheering for teams, half debating whether they loved or hated Cosell. Advertising rates skyrocketed, proving that controversy was good business. Roone Arledge knew exactly what he had created, not just football coverage, but national theater. But Cosell's talent for stirring drama didn't end on the field. He clashed publicly with journalists who mocked him. Dick Young called him Howie the Fraud, shouting insults during tapings. Cosell struck back on air, branding Young a cultural illiterate. He feuded with Chris Economaki over minor criticisms, turning small slights into lasting wars. Even veteran writers attacked him, mocking his toupee and ridiculing his name change from Cohen to Cosell. None of it broke him. In fact, it fueled his fame. The more they attacked, the more unforgettable he became. Yet behind the thunder, shadows grew. Fame and pressure pushed him toward alcohol. In 1970, after 2 mini martinis, he slurred through a broadcast in Philadelphia, misnaming the city Philadelphia, before vomiting into Don Meredith's cowboy boots. By the 1980s, colleagues complained that his drinking was destroying the show. Al Michaels even confronted him. "You're ruining this." And beneath the bravado, insecurity lurked. Cosell feared being abandoned, feared being forgotten. His sharp tongue was not just arrogance, it was armor. Off camera, he was nothing like the storm America saw. He was quiet, dependent on his wife Emmy, the one anchor who held him steady through decades of chaos. When she died in 1990, his world collapsed, leaving a man who once seemed untouchable suddenly fragile, vulnerable, and lost. By the end of 1983, Howard Cosell walked away from Monday Night Football, calling the experience emotional depletion. Ratings were still strong, but the fire in him had dimmed. He was disillusioned. Football, once raw and unpredictable, now felt like a commercialized stage. The scandal over his little monkey remark had scarred his image, and though athletes like Muhammad Ali and Alvin Garrett defended him, the public never truly forgave. For many, that one phrase overshadowed decades of courage and honesty. Tragedy soon followed him off the air. In 1990, his beloved wife Emmy, his constant companion, passed away. Without her, Cosell crumbled. He had surgeries for cancer, battled heart disease, Parkinson's, and strokes. The once unshakable voice that had defined American sports was silenced by illness and grief. In interviews, he admitted feeling sidelined, his work unfinished, his purpose fading. On April 23, 1995, Howard Cosell died in New York at the age of 77. His death divided America. Some mourned the loss of a pioneer, while others remembered only arrogance and controversy. Obituaries praised him as a legend, yet others dismissed him coldly. Half the nation wept, the other half shrugged. But history could not ignore him. He was inducted into the Television Hall of Fame, awarded Lifetime Achievement Honors, and enshrined in both the American Sportscasters Hall of Fame and the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Even those who hated him admitted he had changed sports